Crafty Kate and I run a small crochet business. On this channel we talk all things yarn and crochet. For this video I was going to take you through my 2025 plushie best sellers for in-person markets, PalmStreet, and Etsy, the three main things that I did last year to earn money and sell my plushies. So I added everything up and I have some fun things to share with you. But before we jump into that, I wanted to just give some quick updates. I have some big things going on, stuff that's starting, so I just wanted to fill you in on those. So the first thing is I have my first PalmStreet of 2026 on Saturday the 10th. It's at 12 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I am painting eyes for this one, so I have a whole bunch of eyes pulled out. I haven't started painting yet, but that's the goal for this week. So I will have eyes for that one, and then all of my new plushies that I've been making. So that should be a really fun one if you want to come hang out and see what I've been up to. And then I also have a pattern test that I have been working on, and it is one of my favorite patterns ever. So I got chosen to be a tester for Snuggle Beans Crochet for her new little Libby the Lion pattern. So she has a female lion, a male lion, a sloth, and a zebra all coming out soon. She hasn't set the release date quite yet, but I was chosen to do Libby the Lion. So here she is. When I tell you I'm obsessed, I mean it. Like, this is the cutest thing ever. Look at those little toe beans, the cute little mouth shaping and the color change, tail. She's a sploot, so she does all the sploot things. She is just perfect, and I am obsessed. So this one I made with Premier Parfait Plush, a 6mm hook. These are 30mm eyes. I believe these are some I got from What's Up Cupcake. Thank you, Christine. They're beautiful. Perfect for this little lion. So there's that little lady. Absolutely love this pattern. And then the male lion has a fun loop stitch for the mane, and he is so cute as well. So this is just Libby. And then I had a fun idea to make Black Panther with this pattern. So after I made this one exactly as the pattern stated as the pattern test, I made a second one and tweaked just a couple things. So I actually think I like this one more than the lion, but don't tell them. So here's my little Black Panther. So all I did different for this one was skip the color change for the mouth, obviously. So I just made it all black. And then for the tail, I just rounded the end instead of the little kind of color changed point, because lions have different tails than panthers. So it's just round. But everything else I did exactly the same as the pattern, and she is so pretty. So I did this one in Parfait Plush as well. So, and the black for some reason is way softer than any of the other colors, at least the two skeins that I got. So this baby is the softest thing you've ever felt in your life, and I just love her so much. So I did the 30mm eyes again, added the little eyebrows. So cute. And then I do weighted pellets in the body for both of them. I did the longer body style and added weighted pellets. So there's no stuffing in the bellies, just pellets. So they're nice and heavy and squishy and cozy, and they're so snuggly. I love them so much. So if you are into the sploot patterns, definitely go check these out, or any of her new ones, or any of them that she has. She has a million. I think I almost have all of them at this point. I love them so much. So because I don't know exactly when she's going to release these, I'm going to link her Etsy shop down in the description instead of the actual pattern, so that you can go check. And then once she releases the actual patterns, I'll link the lion pattern. But yeah, for now I'll just have her Etsy linked down in the description so you can go check them out. She has a whole bunch of sploots with this same body style, and they are all so perfect. I absolutely love them. So these two will be available in my PalmStreet on Saturday. So cute. I can't get over how cute they are. So that is the pattern test and the big projects that I've been working on the last week or so, but definitely so much fun. That was one of my favorite pattern tests I have ever done. And then as far as updates, my other final big update for right now is I finally started a Patreon. So it is up and live, and I'm really excited to get that going and start a community with you guys. The main goal will be community. There's going to be a community chat. I'm going to do members only videos, possibly members only lives, things like that. So I'd love to see you guys over there. Go check it out and see what all I'm offering for this first tier. I only have one tier available right now, but I'm expecting it to kind of grow and change as we add more people and kind of see where we want to take it. So I'm very excited to finally have that started. I'm calling that tier the cute supporters, because I don't know that I do it so much in my YouTube videos, but over on PalmStreet, I say cute all the time. After every plushie I show, I say cute. And it was pointed out that I say that all the time. So that kind of became our little motto over there. Everything is cute. I make cute plushies. So I have the cute supporters over on Patreon. So can't wait to get that started. And thank you guys all so much for your support and your ideas over the last year. So we'll just see how that goes. So now we will jump into the bestsellers of 2025. So I broke it down into 3 categories, like I said, in-person markets, PalmStreet, and Etsy. And as always, I will have all of the patterns linked down in the description. If I miss any, because we are going to kind of go over a lot, just ask and I can track those down and link them for you. And I will also try to post little pictures of the different things that I've made, or link YouTube videos where I talked about what exactly I was making for that category, if that makes sense. So we'll start with the in-person markets. So for 2025, I did a total of 8 markets. I did 1 market in the spring that was a separate, like, put on by different people. And then I did 7 farmers markets during the summer from July, August to September. So 8 markets total. Let's see, I broke it all down. So the total booth fees for all of those was $170, which is not bad at all. The total number of items I sold was 209. So for 8 markets, we sold 209 plushies, because I only take plushies to my markets. Okay, starting with number 10, we'll work our way up to the number 1 bestseller. So number 10 was the little jumping spider that I have made tons of. You can make them in all different colors. They're super quick and easy. I love the pattern. It's from Handmade by Nicole. Here's a picture of what they look like. I sold 3 of those total, and I sell those for $10 each. So those I sold a lot better last year, and I have sold some online, but those were not as big of a hit as they were, as they have been, but still super fun to make and nice to see those go. So those were number 10. Number 8 and number 9, we have a tie. So we'll say number 9 was the little octos that I make. It's a free pattern on Instagram from Stitchin' with Abby, and I sell them for $10 each. I usually make them with burnout blanket yarn or Premier Basix chenille, stuff like that, to make them a little bit bigger. So $10 each. I sold 4 of those total. Those definitely sold a lot better last year as well. I sold tons and tons of those. I think they were much higher in my bestseller list, but we did sell 4 of them. I think I have 6 left, so that's a little unfortunate for taking into the new year, but still a good seller. And then for the other one that's tied for that spot, I made a little category for loaf animals, meaning the market makes from the Cozy Buckeye. So she has Cash the Market Cow, the little Market Raccoon, and the Market Fox, I think, are the 3 different ones that I took. And the cow, she has different versions. So I had a Highland cow, a spotted cow, and I think a plain cow. So I sold a total of 4 of those. And I will say the Highland cow is definitely the most popular of those that I sold. I think I sold 2 Highland cows, a fox, and a raccoon. The exciting thing to know about those patterns is that they came out later in the year, so I only took them to 3 different markets and sold 4 of them. So to me, that means they would be a better seller if I had taken them to more markets. So I will definitely be making those again this year. And I will link the Cozy Buckeyes Etsy down in the description, so you can go check out all of the different market makes she has, because she's come out with a whole bunch recently. She has a cute little dog, a bear, the cats, raccoon, fox, all kinds of different ones. And they're really quick and fun to make. So I love all of those patterns and will continue to make them. I sell them for between $18 to $20 depending on like the number of color changes and the amount of detail each one has. So like a plain colored cow would probably be 18, but like the fox or the raccoon with all the color changes in the face and all that stuff, I charge 20. So I just kind of vary those a little bit based on how hard they are to make. Okay, and then number 7 is the little sea turtles that I have been making. It's a free pattern from YouTube by Sophie Tiny, and it's no sew, and I just love the way they turn out with their floppy little fins. They're so cute, and you can make them any color. So I ended up selling 5 of those, and I sell those for $15 each, just because it is a lot of pieces to make and put together, but those go over really well. So that's number 7. And then for number 6, we have the medium loaf cats. I call them medium loaf cats, which I mean these size loaf cats. So the first part of the year, I was using Annie Caraway Arts pattern, her kitten version. And then when the Cozy Buckeye came out with her Max the Market Kitty pattern, I switched over to that because I like the way her ears are. So these guys, I sold a total of 11 of them. They are quick and easy, and you can do solid colors, white face. You can do so much with these. I charge $18 for these and love making them. I definitely found that the crazy colored ones were not quite as popular in person. People wanted cats that looked more like their own cats. Black cats sold really well, but I sold a couple fun colored ones to kids, but adults and stuff wanted more of the regular colored ones, like a gray cat or a black cat or a white face cat, stuff like that. But yeah, so we sold 11 of those for $18 each. Okay, and then for numbers 5, 4, and 3, I have kind of a category. I did my market setups a little bit different this year, where I did a $10 bin, an $8 bin, and a $5 bin, and didn't really keep track of what was in those bins just because it was a lot to have on my inventory sheet. So I broke those down into categories. So number 5 for bestsellers was the $10 bin. We sold 13 items out of that bin for $10 each, obviously. And some different things I had in there were like different patterns from Poggy's Place that are just round little perfect market makes. And then the little free capybara from Sweet Beans Crochet, the tiny whales from All From Jade. I had some little turtles in there, and then I had some chickens in there. I charged $10 for the Mabel chickens, so I just threw those in that bin. Those are not great sellers for me. I think I only had one for the entire year of markets, and those just don't go great for me, especially in the $10 bin. So I did not make a ton of those, but Mabel chickens, and then I had some little rubber duck looking ones from a free pattern on Instagram. I had a little platypus in there at one point. I think the little otter from Just a Mom Crocheting, some dragonflies, just random stuff like that in the $10 bin. So I sold a total of 13 items from the $10 bin. So then number 4 for bestsellers was the $8 bin. And I sold 18 items out of the $8 bin for $8 each, obviously. And in there I had things like the mushy pops from Cable and Canvas, little sloths. There's a free pattern. I think it's on a blog. I can't remember who that one's by. Little axolotls, more of the little Poggy's Place animals, just depending on color changes and how long they take. If they're a little quicker, I'll put them in the $8 bin. Little stingrays. The stingray pattern from Shea Dew Cotton is perfect for the $8 bin, so I had several of those in there. And then little rubber ducks that were a little bit smaller than the ones I had in the $10 bin. So, and other random things that I just can't remember. So the $8 bin was very popular, 18 out of that one. And then for number 3 was the $5 bin. So $5 items were very, very popular. I sold 29 items out of the $5 bin for $5 each. And those, everything in my $5 bin has a keychain added to it. There's some things in my $8 bin that I'll add a keychain, like the mushy pops. I think I had a random pickle in there that had a keychain. But everything in my $5 bin has a keychain. So anything keychain sized goes in that bin. So I had made some of the little ice cream cones from Stacy Makes. And then I had a tiny little octo pattern that I found on YouTube. I modded the Mabel chicken pattern to make an itty bitty one that would fit on a keychain. Sold several of those. The tiny chickens definitely do better for me than the bigger Mabel chickens. And then I made a video during the summer of 10 different free fruit, vegetable kind of food patterns that I made. Those all went into my $5 bin as keychains, except for the pickle, I think. And then a teeny tiny little whale. I think All From Jade has some different sizes of whales. So a teeny tiny whale keychain. I made tons of those and sold those. So I do whales and sharks and then killer whales. So I had a variety of those in there and sold, I think, all of them. So $5 is the keychain. Sold 29 of those. So then number 2 for this year, this was my first year doing these, so I was very excited for this to go so well. Number 2 was my mystery boxes. So I sold 30 mystery boxes for $8 each. And those had the same items in them as my $8 bin. So the mushy pops, sloths, axolotls. I have a whole video of what I did for my mystery boxes, so I'll link that for you guys. But yeah, so just $8 items, anything that would fit in the box would go in the box, with a couple of stickers, and I sold those for $8, and I had a nice sign sitting next to them saying mystery box, with a couple examples of what could be in there. Some of them were keychains. I had like a little panda that I had in some of them, so those went over really well with the kids. And it was so fun to watch them open the boxes and be super excited about what was in there. The little stingrays were a big hit. So those were really fun and something I will definitely keep doing for in-person markets. They were very popular and easy to do. So that was number 2. And then number 1 is not super surprising to me again because it was number 1 last year. So number 1 is the mini loaf cats that I make. Let me grab one. So here is what I call a mini loaf cat. So this is a free pattern on Instagram from MyUniverse64. I've been making this since I very first started my crochet business. So these were my bestseller last year and again this year. I sold 36 of these for $10 each. They take me about 20 minutes to make. They're no sew. You just embroider the little face on. I always make them a solid color. When I first started making them, I was doing color changes, but now I just make them a solid color. The black ones, solid black ones, seem to sell the best. And the black ones, I add a little white detail around the eyes so you can see the eyes better. But yeah, these quick little guys are my best sellers. I put them at the very front of my table, so it's kind of the first thing that people see walking by, and I usually have like 10 of them stacked out there with a little sign that says kittens for $10, and I have a whole bunch of different colors. I do variegated fun colors, tie-dye. I do realistic colors like gray or black or white, or like a variegated orange color, stuff like that, and they are my best sellers. So again this year, 36 of them for $10. Very exciting and such a fun and cute little pattern. I just love the way they turn out. So those are my top 10 bestsellers for my in-person markets. So like I said, I sold a total of 209 items at my 8 different markets for a total of $2,411. And then you subtract the $170 booth fee, and then my square fees for the season were $22.96. So if you subtract all of that out, I made a total of $2,218.04. And obviously that's not counting all of the other expenses that go into it, like the yarn and the time it took and all of that stuff. So I did not bring home $2,218, if that makes sense. But to keep it simple, we're just going to take out the fees for the different categories. So then the other thing I wanted to know was kind of an average per market of how much money that I made. So I took the total that I earned, that $2,218, and divided it by 8 markets. And that is $277.25 per market, which is pretty low for in-person markets. They're a lot of work to go set up and sit there. And then the spring market that I talked about, that was a separate put on by different people. That one was 6 hours long. And then all of the farmers markets were 4 hours long. So For a 4 to 6 hour market, I averaged $277. And I wanted to know that because I also did the same math for my PalmStreets, and I wanted to kind of see a difference. So we'll go over PalmStreet next, and we'll I'll tell you the average for those two, and then we'll compare the two. So anyway, that is my 2025 in-person market season. I had a lot of fun at the farmers markets. The first couple, if you watched my videos from that time, were huge hits. I think I made $500 and $600 at the first two, so almost could have just done those first two and skipped the rest, but still a ton of fun, and nice to get out into the community and out of the house. But like I said, it is a lot of work to set up for those markets, especially when it's just a quick 4 hours, and hot and windy here in Wyoming. I'm not sure how many of those I will be doing this year, but I will keep you guys posted. Okay, and then some numbers for my PalmStreet markets. I had to do it a little bit different because PalmStreet doesn't break it down by listings sold. So I don't have the best information for bestsellers and stuff like that. But I'm just going to kind of go over what was successful for me for the PalmStreets. So for PalmStreet, I did a total of 26 different lives last year, with a total of 333 orders. But I did not sell just plushies on PalmStreet. I sold painted eyes and stitch markers, and I did spin the wheel events where I had a bunch of different things available, stuff like that. So it was really hard to nail down a bestseller. Let's see. So I do know my number one bestseller as far as plushie was my tie-dye dragons, because I made 11, one in every color of the tie-dye colors, and then I really advertised that and pushed it as my big dragon drop live. So the two lives that I had, all of the tie-dye dragons, I sold out of my tie-dye dragons, so that was a lot, and very successful with all the advertising and everything that I did for that. So plushie bestseller would be the tie-dye dragons, and that is the pattern from Handmade by Jody. It's the Diddy Dex palm size snuggler. So that was my bestseller for PalmStreet. And then everything else was kind of just one-offs or stuff left over from my markets, stuff like that. And then eyes obviously were a big hit. My spin the wheel events where I played kind of a game. I had yarn in those, stitch markers, little goodie bags, all kinds of stuff set up for that. So I made the most during the spin the wheel events, but those had the most work put into, like, behind the scenes, painting the eyes, making the stitch markers, putting the goodie bags together, setting everything up. I did 2 spin the wheel events, I think. I'm pretty sure only 2. But those were my highest earning events. And then I also did some trivia games that really helped to bring people in. So trivia was really fun, not selling anything specifically, but just a game to bring people into the lives. So that's kind of all I have for bestsellers for PalmStreet. But so for the numbers, I did 26 lives, 333 orders, and that was a total of $5,966.50. And then the fees, the payment fees were $307.14, and then the PalmStreet selling fee was $281.07. And then I also pay shipping. So shipping was $777.12. So you subtract all that from the total and you get $4,601.17. So then, just like the in-person markets, I wanted to know how much I was making on average per live. So I took my 26 lives and divided that from the total, and I got $176.97. So we'll just call that $177 per live. So only $177 per live, but the lives were only 1 to 2 hours long, and I get to set up everything here in my house. I don't have to go anywhere or pay gas or do any of that setup stuff. All I do is kind of put a table behind me and put everything up on it. For the spin the wheel events and everything else, I just have all my plushies and I just go through them. So much less work other than the spin the wheel events. The spin the wheel is a lot of work, but for a regular live, not a whole lot of preparation goes into it other than just making plushies, painting eyes, stuff like that. So per live for the PalmStreets, I averaged 177, and then per market, for the in-person market, I averaged 277. So not a crazy difference for the amount of work that goes into each one, if that makes sense. So I will definitely keep doing PalmStreets this year. I'm really excited to do more of them, have more eyes for you guys, stuff like that. So we can look forward to that. And then the last category I have for you guys for bestsellers for plushies specifically for 2025 is my Etsy. And it was a little hard to break down just because there's a very, very, very clear winner, and everything else I just kind of sold a few. So I'm not going to go over the top 10. I'm just going to go over the top 4 because the rest are like I sold 7 or less. So, and then I'm also not going to go over all the numbers because my Etsy also has patterns and all kinds of stuff on it that I can't really break down to show the earnings of just the plushies. So I'm just going to tell you my top 4 bestsellers on Etsy. So we'll start with number 4, and that was my own horned lizard pattern. I make those made to order, so I sell the pattern and I sell the plushies. So the little horned lizard, I sold 9 this year from my Etsy, and I offer different colors of those. I think I even made a custom one that was purple for a TCU mascot plushie, so that one was fun. So 9 total for the horned lizards. And then also I find it super fun that my own patterns end up being a bestseller for making the plushie version for people. So that's always fun to see that it's like popular and people want the plushie. So yeah, the horned lizard was number 4. And then let's see, number 3 was the little Dutch bunny pattern from QB Crochet. I did a pattern test for her a long time ago. I think it was one of my very first pattern tests, and it's a little tiny Dutch bunny that I make with Parfait chunky, and I offer them in all kinds of custom colors on my Etsy, and I made 14 of those. So that was exciting to keep making those. They're really fun and they are so cute. It's a no-sew pattern and I absolutely love making them. And then number 2 was a little bit surprising to me. So number 2 was my own weasel pattern, my little weasel snuggler in plushie form. Obviously, I sold 16 of those. So I offer the white version or the brown version because weasels change colors depending on the season. So I have 2 versions in the pattern, and I offer both as a custom order on my Etsy. So 16 of those, which was very exciting. I love making those little guys, cute little snugglers. And then my bestseller, number 1, that blew everything else completely out of the water, is also not a surprise for me, again, because it was my bestseller last year. And that is the Diddy Dex Dragon Snuggler from Handmade by Jody. I sold fewer than last year, but still tons and tons of them. So total, counting the plain colors that I do, and then the tie-dye versions, and then some of the random ready-to-ship ones that I made, I sold 67 little dragons. So by far my bestseller out of all the categories of everything I did last year was the Diddy Dex Dragon, which I'm sure you guys could tell because in pretty much every video or every PalmStreet I had little dragons to offer you guys. So yeah, obviously I have that pattern super memorized. It's kind of my brainless project that I love to make. So Diddy Dex Snugglers were my number 1 bestseller on Etsy again, and I will continue making those. I have custom order listings on my Etsy, and I already have an order for one this year. So 2026 starting out strong with some more dragons. So very exciting. So I think that's pretty much all I have to share with you for this video of my bestsellers. Let me know down in the comments if anything surprised you and what your bestsellers for last year were. I'd love to know what you made a ton of and had success selling. I know some people have said that the maple chickens are huge for them, and it's so funny because I just cannot sell those things here where I am for some reason, even though I mean, like, we have chickens here, so I don't really understand that, and I price them lower than most people, so it's crazy to me how different places can be for bestsellers. So let me know what you had success with last year, and for an emoji down in the comments for making it all the way to the end of the video. Let's do a dragon for the Diddy decks that I sold so many of again, and I hope to keep making those because they're one of my favorite patterns. And then don't forget about the PalmStreet on Saturday. I'd love to see you there, and go check out my Patreon if you're interested. And don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel if you like content like this and want to stay in the loop, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!